All right, so are you ready to dive deep into journaling today?
I am definitely ready.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at Listallion's 50 prompting journal.
Okay.
Um, sometimes it can be a little bit daunting to just have that blank page.
Yeah.
And these prompts that Listallion gives us are like little sparks
Right.
to kind of get our thoughts and creativity going.
And what I really appreciate is that it's not just like random prompts.
Okay.
There's 5 distinct categories,
Okay.
which is really cool. So it's like this roadmap to different areas of personal growth.
Oh, we like that.
So we have self-discovery and reflection,
Okay.
creative exploration, emotional growth,
Got it.
dreams and aspirations,
Mm-hmm.
and then celebrating the present.
Okay, so it's like instead of just free flowing,
Right.
you have this kind of structure.
It's like a conversation starter, but with yourself.
Oh, I like that.
And you might be surprised by where it takes you.
Yeah.
There's actually research that suggests that prompted journaling can be even more effective than just free writing
Oh, really?
when it comes to things like reducing stress and boosting self-awareness.
So it's like a guided tour through your mind with science to back it up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of a prompt that really stood out to you?
Sure. So let's start with the self-discovery and reflection category.
Okay.
There's one that asks you to reflect on a moment from your childhood that shaped who you are today.
Oh.
And it seems simple, but you'd be amazed at how powerful it can be to revisit those formative experiences.
Right.
And see how they've influenced you.
Yeah, because sometimes we carry around those things without even realizing it.
Exactly. And maybe you were always praised for being well-behaved as a child.
Okay.
And that might have led you to be a people pleaser,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not serving you well now as an adult.
Right.
So journaling about that childhood experience can help you see where that originated and then make a conscious choice about whether you want to continue it.
It's like shining a light on those patterns that maybe we don't even realize that we're
Yeah.
doing.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's self-discovery.
Yeah.
What about creative exploration?
Yeah, so there's one in there that asks you to imagine a world where everyone can see each other's thoughts.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a conversation starter,
Oh, my gosh.
right? It really makes you think outside the box
Yeah.
and consider the implications of something like that.
Yeah. What kind of insights do you think someone might get from exploring that?
Well, it could help you examine your own thoughts and feelings
Okay.
more closely.
Okay.
Like if everyone could see what you were thinking, would you change anything?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. It's a little scary.
Yeah, would you be more mindful
Right.
of your internal dialogue?
Absolutely.
So it's a great way to explore honesty, authenticity, and the power of our thoughts.
It's like holding up a mirror
Yeah.
to your own mind and saying, what would the world see?
And-
That's really interesting. And there's something that Listallion says about that,
Yeah.
about like creativity and imagination.
Yeah. They really encourage that childlike sense of wonder and to just explore without limits.
Okay.
This isn't about writing a perfect essay.
Right.
It's about allowing your imagination to run wild
Okay.
and seeing what happens.
So it's more about the process than the outcome.
Exactly. And sometimes the most unexpected discoveries happen when we do that.
Okay, so we've got self-discovery, we've got creative exploration.
Right.
What about emotional growth? What are we
Uh,
talking about there?
So one that really stood out to me was reflect on a time you forgave someone.
Okay.
Forgiveness is such a complex emotion.
Yeah.
And this prompt gives you a chance to really dive into that
Okay.
and think about how it impacted you both positively and negatively.
It's one of those things that's easier said than done.
Exactly.
So what do you think is so beneficial about journaling about it?
Well, it allows you to process those emotions in a safe space.
Mm.
You can explore the hurt, the anger, the resentment,
Right.
but also the possibility of letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes just putting those feelings into words can be so cathartic.
Yeah, and Listallion mentioned something about how it kind of lightens your emotional load.
Right. It's not about condoning the other person's actions.
Right.
It's about freeing yourself from that negative energy
Right.
that resentment holds over you.
Yeah.
And journaling about that can help you understand, are you truly ready to let go?
Okay.
Or is there still work to be done?
So it's about understanding what forgiveness means
Exactly.
for you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so that's heavy, but important.
Right.
What about dreams and aspirations?
Oh, yeah. So this category is all about envisioning your future self
Okay.
and setting those big goals.
Okay.
There's a prompt in there that says, imagine yourself 5 years from now. What do you see? What are you doing? Who are you with?
Oh, wow.
It's all about visualization and goal setting.
Yeah, I can see how that would be motivating, but sometimes it can be overwhelming too.
Sure.
if you don't really have a clear path.
Yeah, well, instead of letting those dreams float around in your head,
Right.
this prompt encourages you to put it down on paper,
Okay.
make it tangible, more real.
Like a blueprint.
Exactly. And Listallion takes it a step further.
Oh.
They even ask you to think about the daily habits and routines
Okay.
that would support that ideal life.
Wow. So it's not just about dreaming. It's about taking those steps
Exactly.
to get there.
So it's not just dreaming big, it's about taking action.
Okay.
And you do that by identifying those habits that align with your goals.
Okay.
For example, if you envision yourself as a successful entrepreneur 5 years from now,
Right.
what habits would support that goal?
Okay.
Maybe it's waking up early
Right.
to work on your business plan or networking or reading books.
It's breaking it down
Exactly.
into those smaller steps.
Exactly.
I like that. That's a good approach. What about celebrating the present?
This one's all about mindfulness and gratitude. The prompt is reflect on a small but meaningful moment you experienced today.
Oh,
And in our busy lives, it's so easy to overlook those little joys.
absolutely.
So this prompt really encourages you to slow down and savor them.
Yeah, we get so caught up in like, what's next and what do we have to do?
Right.
And we forget about just like right now.
Right. What are some examples of these little treasures?
Yeah.
Could be anything really.
Okay.
The warmth of the sun,
Yeah.
a good conversation,
Okay.
a delicious meal,
Mm-hmm.
a moment of quiet.
Yeah.
It's about training yourself to notice and recognizing the abundance that already exists.
It's like shifting from a place of scarcity to abundance.
Exactly.
Instead of like, I don't have this or I don't have that, it's like, I have all of this.
Exactly. And by journaling about these moments, you're not just acknowledging them.
Right.
You're creating a record
Uh,
of gratitude
oh, wow.
that you can revisit whenever you need a little boost.
It's like a little bank of all those positive things that
Yep.
you can pull out later.
Right.
That's great. Okay, so we've talked about prompts that delve into the past,
Uh-huh.
prompts that imagine the future,
Yes.
and prompts that celebrate right now.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Um, it- have you tried any of these yourself?
I have, and I
Okay.
was surprised at how some of the prompts really got me thinking
Okay.
in ways that I hadn't expected.
Okay.
For example, there's a prompt that asks you to describe a decision you made this week
Okay.
and reflect on what you would do differently or the same.
Okay.
It seems simple, but it really made me examine my decision-making process
Oh, wow.
more closely,
All
like
right.
a mini case study
Yeah.
in self-awareness.
That's cool. So what did you learn?
Well, I realized that I tend to make decisions very quickly,
Okay.
often based on gut feeling,
Okay.
which can be helpful sometimes.
Right.
But I also realized that I could benefit from slowing down
Mhm.
and considering all the angles a little
Yeah.
more carefully.
Okay.
So the journaling prompt helped me to see that more clearly.
So it brought awareness to something you didn't even realize you were doing.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Okay.
Okay, what about some other prompts?
I really enjoyed the one that asks you to write about someone who inspires you and how they encourage you to be your best self.
Okay.
It was really heartwarming to reflect on the people who have influenced me
Yeah.
in positive ways. And then it also got me thinking about the qualities that I admire in others
Okay.
and how I could embody those more fully.
So identifying role models
Yes,
and using them as inspiration.
exactly.
Yeah, and Listallion talks about that, about
Yeah.
like every dream starting with a single step,
Yes.
and it's about taking action towards the life that you want to create.
Exactly. And that action can be as simple as picking up a journal
Right.
and responding to a prompt. It's
Right.
about making time for self-reflection and exploration.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about self-discovery, creativity,
Yeah.
emotional growth, dreams, present moment.
Mm-hmm.
What about those prompts that really stretch our imagination? The ones that take us beyond
Yeah.
those everyday experiences.
There's one that asks you to imagine living in a world without language.
Oh my goodness.
How would you communicate? How would relationships change?
Wow.
It's really fascinating. It challenges you to think about the role of language
Yeah.
and explore alternative ways of connecting.
I imagine it would force you to tap into those nonverbal cues,
Right.
like body language and facial expressions.
Exactly.
You'd have to rely on intuition more.
Absolutely. And it might make you appreciate the beauty of language in a whole new way.
Oh, wow. Okay. What other mind-bending ones have you seen?
There's one that asks you to write a dialogue between your past self and your future self.
Oh, my goodness.
It's really powerful.
That is powerful.
It bridges the gap between who you were, who you are now, and who you aspire to be.
What do you think someone could gain from that kind of dialogue?
Or imagine your past self with all its idealism and maybe some regrets.
Right.
Having a conversation with your future self. Who has all the experience of what's to come?
Yeah.
What wisdom would they share with each other?
Right.
What lessons would they impart?
Like that younger self might remind you of some things you've forgotten.
Exactly, or dreams you put on hold.
Yeah.
And that future self can offer you encouragement knowing all the things you've overcome.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Right.
It's like a roadmap
Yeah.
for your journey.
Yeah.
With guidance from the most important voices, your own.
Right.
That's amazing. So we've talked about a lot of really great prompts, but I'm sure there's even more in this journal.
Oh, tons.
So what is the overall message that you take away from all of this?
I think the key takeaway is that journaling, especially with prompts, can be transformative
Okay.
for self-discovery, creativity,
Yeah.
emotional growth, and so much more.
Yeah.
It's a way to connect with yourself on a deeper level,
Yeah.
explore your thoughts and feelings, and create a more meaningful life.
It's like having a therapist, a creativity coach, all rolled into one.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's accessible to anybody.
It's absolutely. You just need a journal and a pen, and you're ready to go.
I love that.
And remember, there's no right or wrong way to approach these prompts.
Okay.
It's about finding what resonates with you
Right.
and experimenting and playing and discovering.
And that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
So for all of you listening out there, I encourage you to check out Listallion's journal
Yes.
or any other journaling practice that speaks to you.
Absolutely.
You might be really surprised at what you find along the way.
You really might.
Well, that's a wrap for our deep dive today. But of course, the journey doesn't stop here.
It never does.
As you go about your day, I want to leave you with this question. What would your ideal journal prompt be? And what would you hope to discover by exploring it?
That's a great question.
All right, until next time, keep those minds curious and those pens moving.
It made me cry listening to her say it because it was so genuine, you know?
Right.
She was just like, a light can help you find your way home. And
Well, that's so sweet.
it was just so natural. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And so I said to the agent, I have the genuine article right here. What do you think? And, he was blown away and said, is she interested? And I was like, oh, my God, yeah. So,
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah. So, and then not to leave out my older daughter, who's an amazing singer.
Oh, really?
She's an amazing singer, but she doesn't like to sing for people.
Okay.
And I just didn't want to leave her out. But it's so interesting how they're different people, but it's like what you were saying about your wife. Like, she just is so self-conscious. And also, it's like won't allow me to direct her.
Oh, really?
Because I'll say, like, just give it to me 2 more times, just to, like, because I don't want to, because hopefully she'll do it different, 2 more times. And she's like, well,
You're trying to get her to,
yeah,
explore it a little more.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's like, no, this is it.
Yeah, she's like, no, this is the take.
Yeah.
So, she's not
interested.
She's not as into it.
Yeah.
She's fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Totally fine.
That's really interesting how, within the same family,
Yeah.
there's such a different
Totally different
temperaments.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's fine. I think that's totally okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to support whatever, everyone's needs and wants and desires.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's a wrap for our deep dive today. But of course, the journey doesn't stop here.
It never does.
As you go about your day, I want to leave you with this question. What would your ideal journal prompt be? And what would you hope to discover by exploring it? That's a great question.
All right, until next time, keep those minds curious and those pens moving.
There's one that asks you to imagine living in a world without language.
Oh.
How would you communicate? How would relationships change?
Oh, my gosh.
It's fascinating. It
Yeah.
challenges you to think about the role of language
Mhm.
and explore other ways of connecting.
I imagine it would force you to be more intuitive
Yeah.
and really rely on those nonverbal cues.
Like body language and facial expressions.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd
that.
have to.
You'd have to.
And it might make you appreciate language more.
Yeah,
In a whole new way.
absolutely. Okay, so what other mind-bending prompts are in here?
There's one that asks you to write a dialogue
Okay.
between your past self and your future self.
Wow.
It's a powerful one.
It is powerful.
Because it kind of bridges the gap between who you are now and who you want to be.
What do you think someone could gain from that kind of dialogue?
Well, imagine your past self with all its idealism and maybe some regrets,
Right?
having conversation with your future self.
Yeah,
Who has all that experience and wisdom?
right.
What would they share with each other? What
Yeah.
lessons would they impart?
It's like that younger self might remind you of some things you've forgotten.
Exactly. Or dreams you put on hold.
Right.
And the future self can offer encouragement,
Hmm.
knowing what you've overcome.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It's like you're creating this roadmap
Yeah,
with guidance from the most important voices, your own.
exactly.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of really great prompts today, but I'm sure there are many more
Oh, tons.
waiting to be discovered in this journal. So what's the overall message you take away from all of this?
I think the key takeaway is that journaling, especially with prompts, can be transformative,
Okay.
for self-discovery, creativity, emotional growth, all of that.
Yeah.
It's a way to connect with yourself
Uh-huh.
on a deeper level and explore your thoughts and feelings and create a more meaningful life.
It's like having a therapist and a creativity coach all in one.
Right.
That's awesome. And the best part is it's accessible to everyone.
Absolutely.
Mm.
You just need a journal and a pen, and you're good to go.
I love that.
And remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this.
Oh,
Just find what resonates with you.
right.
Experiment, play, discover.
That's what it's all about.
Exact.
So for all of you listening out there, I encourage you to check out this journal or any other journaling practice that speaks to you.
Absolutely.
You might be surprised at what you find.
Yeah, you really might.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive for today, but the journey of self-discovery continues.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you with this question as you go about your day. What would your ideal journal prompt be, and what would you hope to discover by exploring it?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those pens moving.